You've heard the rumors. We're here to decode the ones most players missed, and some of them feel a little too real. Call of Duty, Ghost predicted the Venezuela conflict. Ghost is the game everyone ignored until real life started looking familiar. Released in 2013, Ghost tells a story about a world running out of resources, especially oil. When major energy supplies collapse, countries in South America band together to form a powerful alliance called the Federation. This new force uses its resources and wealth to rebuild cities, strengthen its military, and challenge the United States directly. One of the most important locations in the game is Caracas, Venezuela, where elite US forces are sent on dangerous missions. In the Ghost timeline, Venezuela matters because of what it controls: oil, minerals, infrastructure. Whoever controls those resources controls power. The game shows the US launching special operations into Caracas to capture or eliminate key leaders tied to the Federation. The conflict is not about territory, it is about control. In early 2026, real-world events caused people to look back at Ghost differently. News broke of US military actions connected to Venezuela and its leadership. Social media immediately noticed the overlap. Same country, same city, same idea of intervention tied to resources and power. Ghost did not predict names, dates, or exact outcomes. What it did predict was the type of conflict: a world where wars start because of resources, where alliances form out of economic pressure, and where special forces move quietly instead of armies marching openly. That is why the comparison feels uncomfortable. Ghost didn't guess the future. It showed a realistic version of how global power shifts when resources decide everything. For a game everyone called forgettable, Ghost had a lot to say. Nova 6 was based on real experiments. Nova 6 is the Call of Duty weapon that feels fake until you realize how close it is to real history. In the Black Ops campaign, Nova 6 is a chemical gas designed to kill large groups of people quickly. It spreads through the air, attacks the lungs, and leaves almost no chance of survival without protection. The entire Black Ops 1 story revolves around stopping Nova 6 from being released on civilian populations. It is treated as one of the most dangerous weapons ever created in the Call of Duty universe. The theory begins when players noticed how realistic Nova 6 felt compared to other fictional weapons. Unlike lasers or sci-fi machines, Nova 6 behaves like real chemical weapons. It is invisible, fast, and deadly. Victims choke, collapse, and die within seconds. This led players to connect Nova 6 to real chemical experiments carried out during World War II. Historically, several governments experimented with chemical weapons during that time. Gases like sarin, mustard gas, and nerve agents were developed and tested, often in secret. In extreme cases, prisoners and civilians were used without consent. Nova 6 mirrors these real-world programs almost exactly. The game even places its development in the same era and ties it to secret military projects. Within the Black Ops story, Nova 6 is hidden from the public. Governments deny its existence, evidence is destroyed, witnesses are eliminated. When it is used, the blame is shifted or erased. This fits the cover-up theory. If a weapon like Nova 6 existed in real life, it would never be openly admitted. The fear alone would cause global panic. The game reinforces this idea by showing how easily Nova 6 can change the balance of power. One release could kill millions without a single soldier crossing a border. That makes it more dangerous than a missile. It also explains why everyone in the story is desperate to control it or erase it completely. Nova 6 is not presented as a mistake. It is shown as a weapon created on purpose, then hidden when it became too powerful. The theory suggests that Black Ops did not invent Nova 6 from nothing. It simply gave a name and a story to real fears that already existed. For a weapon that supposedly doesn't exist, Nova 6 causes a lot of very real problems. Hangar 18 and aliens. Hangar 18 is the Call of Duty theory that asks a simple question: what if that map wasn't just fiction? In Black Ops 1, Hangar 18 is a multiplayer map set inside a secret military base. At first glance, it looks like a normal Cold War facility, but the name itself is the clue. Long before Call of Duty used it, Hangar 18 was already part of real-world conspiracy stories. It was said to be a hidden hangar used by the US military to store UFO wreckage and alien bodies recovered from crashes. The theory claims Call of Duty didn't invent the idea. It borrowed it. In real life, Hangar 18 is often linked to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. Over the years, whistleblowers and researchers claim that alien technology was brought there after crashes like Roswell. Some even claimed autopsies were performed on non-human bodies. None of this was ever officially confirmed, but the rumors never went away. Black Ops places Hangar 18 right in the middle of Cold War tensions, and the map includes advanced technology, restricted areas, and heavy security. It also appears in a game already filled with secret weapons, mind control experiments, and hidden government programs. That makes the alien angle feel less random and more intentional. What makes this theory stronger is how Call of Duty often blends real conspiracy ideas into its stories. Number stations, sleeper agents, chemical weapons, and secret prisons all exist in real history. Hangar 18 fits perfectly into that pattern. Instead of proving aliens exist, the game uses the idea to show how much information governments might hide. There is no mission where you fight aliens. There is no cutscene that confirms anything. That is the point. The mystery stays intact. Just like real conspiracy stories, Hangar 18 is always hinted at, never explained. The theory suggests that Call of Duty uses Hangar 18 as a reminder. If governments can hide wars, weapons, and experiments, hiding something bigger would not be impossible. The scariest part is not aliens. It is how believable the secrecy feels. Hangar 18 works because it never answers the question. It just reminds you that some doors stay locked for a reason. If aliens were ever found, Hangar 18 feels like exactly where they'd tell you nothing happened. Reznov is alive. Reznov is the Call of Duty character who refuses to stay dead even when the game clearly tells you he is. Viktor Reznov is introduced in World at War as a Soviet soldier driven by revenge after being betrayed by his own commanders. He later becomes a central figure in Black Ops, where he appears as a guide and mentor to Alex Mason. Reznov pushes Mason toward one goal above all else, killing Dragovich, Kravchenko, and Steiner. According to the official story, Reznov dies years earlier in Vorkuta while helping Mason escape. From that point on, everything Mason sees of Reznov is explained as a hallucination caused by brainwashing and trauma. The theory begins because the game itself keeps breaking that explanation. Reznov appears to Mason in places where Mason could not logically imagine him. He gives instructions Mason could not know on his own. He helps Mason survive combat situations that feel more physical than psychological. In several missions, Reznov is seen interacting with the environment in ways that suggest presence, not memory. Other characters even react to Reznov indirectly, which makes the hallucination explanation feel incomplete. The strongest evidence comes from mission details and altered dialogue. In some versions of missions, Reznov appears to act independently of Mason's perspective. There are also inconsistencies in the timeline of Reznov's death, including missing bodies and unreliable narrators. The CIA files in Black Ops label Reznov as deceased, but those same files admit Mason's memories are damaged and manipulated. That leaves room for doubt. Later games quietly keep the theory alive. Reznov's influence continues through Mason's actions, even after the brainwashing is supposedly broken. His voice, phrases, and ideology persist long after his death. Call of Duty never fully confirms whether Reznov was only a hallucination or whether parts of Mason's memories were altered to hide Reznov's survival or involvement. The theory does not claim Reznov survived everything unchanged. Instead, it suggests the official explanation was simplified to hide something messier. Reznov may have survived longer than reported, died later than stated, or been used as a psychological tool while still alive. The truth is never clearly shown, which keeps the theory alive. Reznov's real power is not whether he lived or died, but that Call of Duty never fully proves he was gone. For a man officially labeled dead, Reznov sure does a lot of walking, talking, and revenge planning. Black Ops 2 predicted the future. Black Ops 2 is the COD game that tried to be futuristic and accidentally explained how the world actually works. Black Ops 2 takes place in the year 2025, a future that once felt far away but is now very familiar. Instead of focusing on soldiers fighting on battlefields, the game shows a world where wars are controlled by technology, information, and resources. Guns still exist, but they are no longer the most important weapon. The main conflict in the story centers on rare earth elements. Which are materials needed to build electronics, military equipment, drones, and computer systems. In the Black Ops 2 timeline, China controls most of these materials.
Who controls all of it? China.
When global tensions rise after a cyber attack, China responds by cutting off access to rare earths instead of launching missiles. This causes massive problems for other countries that depend on advanced technology to function. This decision leads to a new kind of Cold War. Countries are not fighting openly, but they are still attacking each other through cyber warfare, economic pressure, and proxy groups. The game shows how shutting down supply chains can be more powerful than destroying cities. Control over technology becomes control over the world. Black Ops 2 also focuses heavily on drone warfare. Many battles are fought using unmanned machines instead of human soldiers. Operators control drones from far away, which makes combat more distant and less personal. This allows wars to happen without clear responsibility, since attacks can be denied or blamed on someone else. Another major theme is information warfare. False information spreads quickly, cyber attacks are hard to trace, governments deny involvement while chaos grows. Raul Menendez uses these systems to cause global collapse without ever leading a traditional army. His strength comes from disruption, not invasion. The reason this theory matters is not because Black Ops 2 predicted exact events, but because it correctly showed how modern conflicts work. Wars are no longer about winning battles, they are about controlling systems, resources, and public opinion. Black Ops 2 includes multiple endings where global alliances change based on player choices, showing that modern conflicts have no single outcome and no clear winners. BO2 didn't predict the future, it just explained why everything feels broken already. No conspiracy here, you can subscribe. Bus Route B was real. Bus Route B is the zombies theory that started as a joke and ended up being mostly true. In Black Ops 2 Zombies, the map Transit forces players to travel using a bus that follows the same path every game. The route takes you through the bus depot, diner, farm, power station, town, and back again. Very early on, players notice something strange. Inside the bus depot, there is a transit map that clearly shows two routes, Route A and Route B. Route A is labeled. Route B exists, but it is never used. This is where the theory begins. Players started asking why a second route would be shown if it was never part of gameplay. Voice lines from the bus driver Ted make the mystery deeper.
I warn you about this place, but I doubt you'd listen.
He talks about alternate routes, navigation errors, and route changes that never actually happen. The map itself contains blocked tunnels, unused roads, and areas that feel unfinished or empty. For years, the community believed Bus Route B was cut content. At first, this sounded like wishful thinking. Then more evidence appeared. Developers later confirmed that Transit was originally much larger. It was meant to include a day and night cycle, different travel paths, and more locations. Older consoles could not handle the size, so fog and enemies like denizens were added to slow players down instead. Bus Route B fits perfectly into this explanation. It was likely a second path designed for nighttime travel or alternate objectives. Posters, signs, and leftover map data suggest it was planned but removed late in development. Unlike many zombies theories, this one is not based on imagination. It is based on visible leftovers that were never cleaned up. What makes Bus Route B important is that it proves something rare in zombies lore. Sometimes the community is right, not everything is a secret story clue. Some mysteries exist because the game was forced to change during development. The developers left just enough behind for players to notice, but never enough to use. It represents the version of Transit that never released, and the features zombies fans never got to play. Bus Route B was real, you just weren't allowed to ride it. The Empty Earth. The Empty Earth is the zombies theory that says one universe existed where humans never existed at all. In the Call of Duty Zombies story, the Empty Earth is described as a tangent universe, meaning it split off from reality long ago. In this version of Earth, human life never developed. No cities were built, no wars were fought. The planet existed, but it was completely empty of people. This makes it different from every other zombies timeline, where humanity always plays a role. The theory becomes important when Dr. Maxis discovers this universe, because no humans ever lived there. The Empty Earth is stable in a very fragile way. It only stays intact as long as it remains untouched. Maxis uses this universe as a storage space for powerful artifacts, including Element 115 items and ancient relics. He believes hiding them in a universe with no people makes them safer than keeping them in his own world. To protect these artifacts, Maxis builds a secret facility known as Zero Base. The base is filled with defenses, security systems, and safeguards designed to keep intruders out. One of the most important defenses is that only beings with souls can enter. This prevents artificial beings, zombies, or corrupted entities from accessing the artifacts. The problem is that the Empty Earth was never meant to be used this way. As soon as humans begin interacting with it, the universe starts to collapse. Trees crumble when touched. The environment breaks apart slowly. The more time humans spend there, the faster it decays. This suggests the universe is rejecting human presence entirely. The theory connects this idea to the Black Ops 3 Zombies loading screen, where characters sit calmly at a campfire while zombies wander nearby without attacking. Some fans believe this scene takes place in the Empty Earth because the zombies behave strangely and the environment feels disconnected from normal reality. However, there is strong evidence against that idea. The Empty Earth should already be collapsing if humans are present, yet the environment in the loading screen appears stable. Also, characters who never traveled to the Empty Earth appear there, which breaks the theory. What remains important is not where the loading screen takes place, but what the Empty Earth represents. It shows that even a universe without humans cannot stay untouched once people interfere. Every attempt to control or hide dangerous power eventually causes damage somewhere else. The Empty Earth proves that in zombies, there is no such thing as a safe place. There are only places where the consequences arrive later. Even an Earth with no people couldn't survive humans showing up uninvited. Element 115 was covered up. Element 115 is the reason zombies exists, even if the games rarely explain it clearly on purpose. In Call of Duty Zombies, Element 115 is a strange material that appears after a meteor crash near Tunguska in 1908. This element does not follow normal science rules. It can reanimate dead bodies, bend space and time, and power advanced machines far beyond modern technology. Once scientists discover it, everything starts to go wrong. Zombies, teleporters, wonder weapons, and time fractures all trace back to this single element. The cover-up theory starts with Group 935, a secret research group made up of scientists from multiple countries. Officially, they are working on energy research. In reality, they are experimenting on humans, soldiers, and prisoners using Element 115. These experiments lead to mass deaths, outbreaks, and unstable portals. Instead of shutting the program down, the group hides its failures and moves its research to remote locations like Der Riese, Shino Numa, and Ascension. The theory claims that government's new Element 115 was too dangerous for public knowledge. If the world learned that a material existed that could raise the dead and break reality, it would cause panic and global instability. Instead, disasters linked to 115 are blamed on accidents, wars, or natural causes. Facilities are destroyed, records are erased, and survivors are silenced. Throughout Zombies, radios, notes, and broken conversations hint that the truth is being buried. Scientists talk about covering up outbreaks. Soldiers are ordered to eliminate witnesses. Entire test sites disappear from maps. Even when Earth is destroyed in later storylines, the damage is blamed on missiles or war, not the element that caused it. Element 115 also explains why Zombies' history is so fragmented. Time loops reset events. Universes collapse and restart. Each reset allows the damage to be hidden again. The truth never fully reaches the public because reality itself keeps getting rewritten. Later games soften the explanation, but they never erase it. Every version of the Zombies universe still depends on a hidden force that governments failed to control and then chose to hide. Element 115 is never presented as an accident. It is presented as a secret that kept getting worse the longer it was ignored. For something called Element 115, it sure caused about 100 different end-of-the-world scenarios. Nikolai's wives. Nikolai is the Zombies character who fought through world-ending disasters while casually mentioning he's been married way too many times. Throughout Zombies, Nikolai constantly talks about his wives, usually in past tense.
I used this to kill a bear once. She was my first wife.
He mentions losing them to war, betrayal, or bad decisions. The strange part is how often it comes up. Some fans joked that it was just humor. Others noticed it kept repeating across different timelines and versions of Nikolai. The theory is simple. Nikolai remembers multiple lives. Each time the universe resets, he lives again, loves again, and loses again. His jokes are not jokes. They are fragments of memory leaking through broken timelines. That is why he sounds drunk, sad, and detached all at once. Nikolai laughs about it because remembering everything would break him. For a guy saving reality, Nikolai sounds like he already lost everything that mattered. Shangri-La is on Mars. Shangri-La is the Zombies map that made players question whether they were even still on Earth. Shangri-La first appears in Black Ops Zombies as a hidden jungle temple filled with traps, strange creatures, and ancient technology. On the surface, it looks like a lost city somewhere deep in the mountains. But very quickly, players notice that almost nothing about the map behaves normally. Gravity feels wrong, time loops repeat, the sun and moon move in impossible ways. That's where the theory begins. And the theory claims Shangri-La is not on Earth at all. It suggests the map actually takes place on Mars, or at least a Mars-like dimension. One of the biggest clues is the color of the sky. In certain areas, the sky has a red-orange tint that matches how Mars looks in real photos. The lighting feels unnatural, and the environment doesn't match any known Earth jungle. Another clue comes from the time loop mechanic. The map constantly resets itself. Events repeat. Characters seem trapped in a cycle they cannot escape. This fits the idea that Shangri-La exists in a place where time does not behave normally. In Zombies lore, locations affected by Element 115 often exist outside normal reality. Mars has long been associated with ancient alien theories and lost civilizations, which adds fuel to the idea. There are also ancient ruins and advanced traps that feel far beyond human technology. Spike traps rise from the ground. Water channels control the map. Giant mechanisms move the environment itself. The theory suggests this technology did not come from humans, but from a civilization that existed long before Earth's history or somewhere else entirely. Radio messages and environmental clues hint that explorers and scientists became trapped here and could not leave. They describe the place as isolated and unreachable. Some fans believe the teleportation systems used to access Shangri-La are not moving players across Earth, but across planets or dimensions. The theory gained popularity because Zombies has already shown locations on the moon and beyond Earth. Mars does not feel like a stretch in this universe. The map never confirms the location, which allows the mystery to survive. Whether Shangri-La is actually on Mars matters less than what it represents. It is a place completely cut off from reality, where time, space, and survival no longer follow rules. Once you enter, you are stuck repeating the same mistakes forever. If Shangri-La is on Mars, then Zombies went there long before the astronauts did. Mandela effects in Call of Duty. The Mandela effect in Call of Duty is the theory that a lot of players remember things that never actually happened. In Call of Duty, this happens more often than you would expect. Players swear they remember quotes, scenes, or gameplay moments that do not exist in the final version of the game. And because millions of people played these games, the false memories spread fast. One of the most common examples involves Reznov's quotes in Black Ops. Many players remember Reznov saying lines that are never spoken in the campaign. The tone feels right, the message fits his character, but when players go back and check, the lines are missing. They were either misremembered, taken from trailers, or created by the community over time. Another example comes from zombies. Players remember perk machines appearing on maps where they never existed. Others remember wonder weapons behaving differently, having extra abilities, or spawning more often than they actually did. Some players clearly remember features that were only present in early builds, leaks, or developer discussions, but never made it into the final game. Maps also play a role. Certain signs, posters, or background details are remembered differently by large groups of players. In some cases, assets were changed between versions, updates, or platforms. In other cases, the details were never real at all. The memory feels real because it was reinforced by videos, comments, and community discussions. Zombies makes this worse by design. Time loops, broken timelines, and reality resets are part of the story. When players replay maps over many years, the experience blends together. Events from different games start to overlap. This makes it hard to separate what actually happened from what feels true. What makes this theory interesting is that it mirrors the zombies' story itself. Reality breaks, memories blur, truth becomes unreliable. Players are experiencing the same confusion as the characters they control. When even the memories don't line up, you know you've played too much zombies. Loose ends remain. Choose the next recon mission.